The Nordic Visitors of Light, a phenomenon that has intrigued humanity for decades, remains an enigma in the world of UFO lore and paranormal exploration. Descriptions of these beings, often depicted as tall, fair-haired, and ethereal, have sparked debates over their true origin. Are they extraterrestrial beings from distant star systems? Or are they divine entities, angels sent to guide or warn humanity? The mystery of these visitors is not just a modern curiosity. It stretches back through human history, intertwining with the myths and legends of many cultures, shaping our understanding of the supernatural. The idea of light beings or divine figures descending from the heavens is a concept as old as civilization itself. In ancient cultures, gods and angels were often portrayed as radiant, shining beings with human-like appearances, sent to impart wisdom or offer protection. The ancient Greeks spoke of gods descending in golden chariots, while the Norse sagas tell of shining Valkyries who rode through the skies, guiding warriors to the afterlife. These stories, told and retold across generations, served as a reflection of humanity's deep yearning to understand the unknown, the forces that moved in the cosmos, and the potential for beings far beyond our earthly realm. In more recent times, the Nordic visitors have become a central focus of UFO sightings, with many witnesses describing encounters with beings who share striking similarities to these ancient depictions. Tall, blonde, often with piercing blue eyes and radiating a soft, calming light, these visitors are typically described as peaceful and benevolent. Unlike the more common gray aliens, short, large-eyed, and often associated with abduction phenomena, the Nordic visitors present a stark contrast. They are seen as beings of grace and wisdom, often offering messages of peace and guidance to those who encounter them. These sightings have been reported in various parts of the world, particularly in the mid-20th century, during the peak of UFO activity. In some cases, witnesses recount not just a physical encounter, but a deep sense of spiritual connection or enlightenment. People often describe feelings of peace, love, and a heightened sense of purpose following these encounters. Some even claim to have been given glimpses of humanity's future or profound spiritual teachings. The presence of the Nordic visitors, while deeply unsettling to some, has often left a lingering sense of awe and reverence. However, the accounts of these beings are not without controversy. Skeptics argue that the descriptions of Nordic visitors are nothing more than a modern interpretation of ancient archetypes, shaped by the collective cultural consciousness of a world more familiar with ideas of extraterrestrials and angels. They point out the psychological phenomenon of cultural contamination, where people, influenced by books, movies, and media, begin to experience and describe encounters in ways that align with popular expectations. These witnesses, they argue, may not be seeing actual beings from another world or dimension, but are instead experiencing projections of their hopes, fears, and the stories they've heard all their lives. Yet even as skeptics raise their voices, there remains a significant body of believers who insist that the Nordic visitors are real, physical beings who have visited our world for purposes beyond our understanding. Some claim they are from the Pleiades star system, a cluster of stars located approximately 440 light-years away, which has long been associated with extraterrestrial speculation. Others believe they are not from another planet at all, but are interdimensional travelers, beings who exist in a realm just beyond our perception, appearing to us in moments when we are ready to receive their messages. The question of whether these visitors are extraterrestrial or angelic continues to be a matter of intense debate. It touches upon the age-old struggle between science and spirituality, between the material world and the metaphysical realm. What is certain, however, is that the Nordic visitors, whether they are beings from the stars or manifestations of higher consciousness, have become a symbol of humanity's endless curiosity about the unknown. They represent our desire to understand the forces that shape our universe, to connect with beings who might offer us insights into the mysteries of existence itself. And perhaps more than anything, they remind us that even in a world increasingly dominated by science and technology, there is still a place for wonder, for mystery, and for the possibility of something greater than ourselves. As we embark on this exploration of the Nordic visitors, we will seek to unravel the threads of history, culture, and personal testimony that have woven this fascinating tapestry. We will delve into the earliest encounters with these beings, examine the theories surrounding their origin, and consider the psychological, cultural, and spiritual implications of their presence in our lives. This journey is not just about understanding the mysterious visitors themselves, but also about exploring our own perceptions of the unknown and the ways in which these encounters shape our understanding of the universe. The concept of light beings and divine visitors descending from the heavens is deeply rooted in human history. In ancient civilizations, stories of gods, angels, and celestial beings were central to understanding the world and the forces at work in the cosmos. These beings, often described as radiant or luminous, held significant cultural importance, acting as intermediaries between humans and the divine. These ancient myths and legends share striking similarities with modern reports of the Nordic visitors, who are described as tall, blonde, and glowing with a peaceful, ethereal light. Exploring these historical roots reveals how ancient civilizations may have laid the foundation for the modern phenomenon of the Nordic visitors. In Mesopotamia, one of the earliest known civilizations, gods were often depicted as shining or luminous figures. The ancient Sumerians, for example, believed in a pantheon of gods who descended from the heavens, with some described as beings of light or fire. The epic tales of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest literary works in human history, describe gods and spirits who shine brightly and interact with humans in ways that reflect a deep connection between the divine and the mortal realms. These stories laid the groundwork for the notion that beings from the sky were not only powerful, but also inherently otherworldly and, in many cases, benevolent. Similarly, in the ancient cultures of Egypt and Greece, celestial beings were often portrayed as radiant and divine. The Egyptian gods, for instance, were frequently depicted with glowing auras, and the sun god Ra was often represented as a figure of blinding light. In Greek mythology, gods such as Apollo, the sun god, and Helios, the personification of the sun, were associated with light and radiance. These figures were not just symbolic of the sun's power, but were also seen as beings capable of descending to earth to guide and protect humanity. The bright light associated with these gods symbolized their divine nature and their ability to bring order to chaos, much as the Nordic visitors are often described as bringing peace and wisdom during their encounters. The Norse sagas also provide rich examples of celestial beings. The Valkyries, warrior maidens who serve the god Odin, are often described as shining figures riding through the sky, their armor gleaming in the light of the northern stars. These mythic beings, much like the Nordic visitors, were both beautiful and powerful, appearing in moments of great significance to guide souls to their afterlife in Valhalla. The concept of light and divinity in these ancient cultures reflects an enduring belief in celestial forces that transcend earthly limitations. These forces were often associated with wisdom, strength, and protection, qualities that are similarly attributed to the Nordic visitors in modern encounters. The idea of divine or otherworldly beings descending from the sky has persisted across many cultures and epochs, with varying interpretations. For example, in Hinduism, deities such as Indra, the king of the gods, and Surya, the sun god, are often depicted as radiant beings of immense power who come to earth to guide or protect. The vivid descriptions of their luminous forms are strikingly similar to those found in modern reports of encounters with light beings, suggesting a long-standing human association between divinity and radiance. As we move into more recent history, particularly the 20th century, the concept of extraterrestrial life began to shift the interpretation of these ancient myths. The rise of UFO sightings in the post-World War II era, particularly the wave of sightings in the 1950s and 1960s, introduced a new narrative, that beings from distant planets or star systems were visiting Earth. While the traditional idea of divine or angelic beings remained, the language of the times began to incorporate more modern understandings of space and technology. Descriptions of these visitors often mirrored ancient accounts of radiant, powerful beings, but now they were framed within the context of extraterrestrial life. The Nordic visitors specifically emerged as a prominent figure in UFO lore during this period. Eyewitnesses began describing encounters with tall, humanoid beings who appeared in glowing light or emitted soft, radiant aura. Their appearance was often associated with feelings of peace and calm, much like the divine encounters of ancient mythologies. These beings, unlike the more malevolent or neutral depictions of extraterrestrials, such as the Greys, were seen as benevolent, offering guidance, comfort, and warnings for humanity. This contrast between the Nordic visitors and other UFO encounters suggests a deeper connection to the ancient archetypes of divine, light-bringing beings. Psychologists and cultural researchers have long noted that these modern reports of the Nordic visitors could be an expression of humanity's collective unconscious, shaped by centuries of myth, religion, and spirituality. Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychologist, posited that archetypes, universal symbols, and patterns are embedded in the human psyche and manifest in different forms across cultures and time periods. The appearance of the Nordic visitors could be seen as a modern manifestation of these archetypes, where humanity's age-old desire for divine guidance and protection is projected onto the phenomenon of extraterrestrial encounters. In this light, the Nordic visitors are not merely a product of modern UFO culture, but are deeply tied to the ancient human fascination with the unknown, with beings from the sky who offer wisdom and salvation. Whether interpreted as angels, gods, or extraterrestrial travelers, these beings tap into a primal need to understand the cosmos and our place within it. Their appearances, though interpreted through the lens of contemporary culture, are echoes of a long-standing belief in celestial visitors who guide and protect humanity. This blending of ancient mythology and modern UFO sightings suggests that the mystery of the Nordic visitors is not just a modern phenomenon, but one deeply embedded in the human psyche. As we delve into the accounts of those who have claimed to encounter the Nordic visitors, a common thread emerges in their descriptions. Tall, humanoid beings with strikingly beautiful features, often radiating a soft, calming light. These encounters, reported by individuals across various countries and spanning several decades, have left a profound impact on the witnesses, with many describing the experience as deeply transformative and, in some cases, even spiritual. The Nordic visitors, often perceived as benevolent entities, stand in stark contrast to the more typical portrayals of extraterrestrials, such as the Greys or reptilians, who are usually depicted as more mysterious, unsettling, or malevolent. The peaceful and serene nature of these beings has left people both comforted and confused, unsure of how to interpret such encounters. One of the earliest and most widely known encounters with the Nordic visitors occurred in the 1950s, when a number of individuals, particularly in the United States and Europe, reported sightings of tall, blonde beings associated with UFO sightings. The descriptions of these beings were often similar. They were humanoid, with fair hair and blue or gray eyes, dressed in shining, metallic clothing, and exuded a presence of calm, compassion, and otherworldly intelligence. The encounters were often brief, with the beings seemingly appearing out of nowhere, communicating silently or through telepathy, and then disappearing as quickly as they had arrived. Many witnesses reported feeling a deep sense of peace during their encounters, as if they were in the presence of something divine or transcendent. Perhaps one of the most famous accounts comes from the 1960s, when a man named George Adamski, a well-known UFO contactee, claimed to have had several meetings with beings who resembled the Nordic visitors. Adamski described them as tall, blonde individuals who wore silver jumpsuits and came from a planet in the Pleiades star system. He reported having lengthy conversations with them, during which they shared messages about humanity's future, peace, and the dangers of nuclear weapons. The Nordic visitors, according to Adamski, were not interested in harming humanity, but rather in guiding us toward a higher state of consciousness and peaceful coexistence. His reports sparked widespread interest, and many others came forward with similar accounts, claiming to have experienced encounters with tall, blonde beings who shared messages of hope and enlightenment. While Adamski's claims were met with skepticism by many, his accounts contributed significantly to the mythology surrounding the Nordic visitors and helped popularize their image in UFO circles. While some encounters with the Nordic visitors were witnessed by groups of people, many of the most striking accounts come from individuals who experienced these encounters alone, often in secluded or remote areas. These solitary encounters often take place during moments of heightened emotional or psychological sensitivity, such as during periods of deep reflection or meditation, or, in some cases, during sleep or near-sleep states. In many of these cases, the individuals report feeling an intense sense of being chosen or special, as if the encounter was not a random occurrence, but a personal communication or visitation from a higher intelligence. The experiences, while sometimes brief, tend to leave lasting impressions on the witnesses, who often feel as though their lives have been changed in some way. The encounter with the Nordic visitors often brings with it a sense of purpose, a deepening of spiritual awareness, and a renewed sense of connection to the universe. Another common aspect of these encounters is the manner in which the beings communicate. Many witnesses report receiving telepathic messages, with the Nordic visitors conveying information without the need for verbal exchange. These messages are often described as being filled with wisdom and compassion, urging humanity to move beyond its current state of conflict and division. The emphasis is often placed on unity, love, and the need to care for the planet. Some witnesses claim that the beings shared glimpses of the future or offered prophetic insights, warning of potential global disasters, including the threat of nuclear war, and urging humanity to choose a path of peace before it was too late. The nature of these communications, which are often accompanied by a feeling of warmth and understanding, reinforces the idea that the Nordic visitors are not here to invade or conquer, but rather to offer guidance and support. The psychological impact of these encounters cannot be overstated. For many of the witnesses, the experience serves as a profound shift in perspective. They may have previously been skeptical of the existence of extraterrestrials or had a limited understanding of the spiritual dimensions of existence. After their encounter with the Nordic visitors, however, many report feeling a deep sense of interconnectedness with all life forms and a new understanding of their place in the cosmos. Some witnesses experience heightened sensitivity to energy or a renewed interest in meditation, spirituality, or environmental activism. These encounters seem to leave an imprint on the witness's psyche, altering their worldview in significant ways. While some skeptics dismiss these reports as mere hallucinations or the result of vivid dreams, others argue that the consistent nature of the descriptions, particularly the similar physical characteristics and the messages conveyed, suggest that these encounters may be based in reality, or at least in something beyond the ordinary. The reports of telepathic communication and the feelings of peace and enlightenment experienced by the witnesses add another layer of intrigue to the phenomenon. Could it be that the Nordic visitors are real, tangible beings visiting Earth, or are these experiences manifestations of something deeper within the human psyche? While the evidence remains inconclusive, the enduring consistency of these reports makes it difficult to dismiss them outright. Ultimately, the accounts of encounters with the Nordic visitors contribute to a larger, ongoing mystery. Whether these beings are visitors from another planet, multidimensional entities, or something else entirely, their presence in the stories of those who have encountered them cannot be easily ignored. The consistent descriptions of tall, blonde beings with a peaceful, guiding presence raise important questions about the nature of human experience, consciousness, and the possibility of extraterrestrial or divine intelligence. For those who have had these encounters, the experience is not just a fleeting moment of strange visitation, but a life-changing event that continues to shape their understanding of the universe. The role of government and media in shaping the public's understanding of the Nordic visitors and UFO phenomena cannot be overstated. Over the years, official narratives and media portrayals have played a pivotal role in both diminishing the credibility of UFO sightings and shaping the way people perceive extraterrestrial or supernatural encounters. Despite the growing number of eyewitness accounts and the consistency in their descriptions, the lack of formal acknowledgement by government agencies has created a sense of ambiguity and intrigue surrounding the phenomenon. While there have been some government reports that hint at UFO encounters, including a growing number of declassified documents. The mystery surrounding the Nordic visitors has often been left unaddressed by official institutions. Historically, the U.S. government has been particularly reluctant to publicly engage with the topic of UFOs. One of the most notable examples of this reluctance is the official conclusion of Project Blue Book, the U.S. Air Force's investigation into UFO sightings from 1952 to 1969. Although the project documented thousands of sightings and encounters, including those involving humanoid beings that resembled the Nordic visitors, the official stance was that most of these reports could be attributed to misidentifications of natural phenomena or military aircraft. No substantial evidence was found to support the idea that extraterrestrial life was visiting Earth. The lack of any formal recognition of beings like the Nordic visitors within official reports has led many to question whether the government is intentionally withholding information or if these encounters simply don't fit into the broader narrative of UFO research. In contrast, the public's fascination with the Nordic visitors has only grown, particularly through media portrayals and personal testimonies that have emerged over the decades. From documentaries to books, TV shows, and movies, the Nordic visitor phenomenon has captivated audiences, both through fictional depictions and the growing number of first-hand accounts. This media portrayal has played a significant role in shaping public perception, often presenting the Nordic visitors as benevolent, wise beings who have come to offer guidance or warn humanity about the dangers it faces. In contrast to other alien archetypes, such as the terrifying greys or the mysterious reptilians, the Nordic visitors are consistently shown in a more positive light, embodying ideals of peace, love, and higher knowledge. The media's depiction of the Nordic visitors has, in part, stemmed from the stories of UFO contactees like George Adamski, whose accounts of meeting tall, blonde extraterrestrials from the Pleiades were among the first to introduce the idea of these benevolent, light-bringing beings. His widely publicized books, such as Flying Saucers Have Landed, help cement the image of the Nordic visitors in popular culture. While Adamski's accounts have been heavily criticized by skeptics, many calling them fabrications or hoaxes, his influence on how the public views these beings is undeniable. The rise of New Age spirituality and interest in extraterrestrial life during the 1960s and 1970s also helped to fuel the image of the Nordic visitors as divine messengers, reinforcing the idea that these beings were here to assist humanity in its spiritual evolution. However, the government's reticence in acknowledging these encounters has left the door open for conspiracy theories to flourish. Some UFO researchers argue that there has been a deliberate attempt to suppress information about extraterrestrial visits, particularly those involving the Nordic visitors, due to the potential threat such revelations could pose to established political, social, and religious systems. These theories suggest that governments, especially in the United States, may be withholding information about extraterrestrial life in order to maintain control over the narrative of human history and to avoid widespread societal upheaval. The absence of formal acknowledgement has allowed a space for alternative interpretations of these encounters to flourish, many of which place the Nordic visitors in the realm of spiritual guides or angels rather than extraterrestrial visitors from distant planets. The portrayal of these beings in the media and the absence of clear government acknowledgement has also created a situation where the line between fact and fiction becomes blurred. Theories about the Nordic visitors, their origin, and their purpose vary widely, with some individuals claiming to have been in direct contact with these beings, and others asserting that they have only encountered them through dreams, visions, or meditative states. In some cases, people have even claimed to have received telepathic messages or prophecies during their encounters, further reinforcing the idea that these beings are not just extraterrestrials, but possibly higher dimensional or spiritual entities. While government and media coverage of the Nordic visitors has largely been speculative or dismissive, there has been a notable shift in recent years. The U.S. government, under growing public pressure and increasing sightings, has started to release more information on UFOs, particularly through the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena (UAP) task force. While this information does not directly address the Nordic visitors or other humanoid encounters, It has opened the door to a more open dialogue about the reality of UFOs and the possibility of extraterrestrial life. The 2021 UAP report, which acknowledged the existence of mysterious aerial phenomena that could not be explained by current technology, was seen by many as a step forward in legitimizing the study of UFOs. However, it stopped short of revealing anything concrete about the nature of these phenomena or the beings associated with them. The continued secrecy surrounding the Nordic visitors, coupled with the media's portrayal of them as peaceful, wise figures, raises questions about the nature of the phenomenon. Are these beings part of a larger, government-acknowledged phenomenon that is being intentionally hidden from the public? Or are they simply a product of human imagination, influenced by centuries of religious and cultural beliefs in celestial beings and higher powers? The government's refusal to openly engage with these questions only deepens the mystery and keeps the public captivated by the idea that there may be more to the story than we are being told. As the media continues to portray these beings in both fictional and non-fictional contexts, and as more people come forward with personal testimonies of encounters with the Nordic visitors, the mystery continues to grow. The lack of government acknowledgement ensures that the debate over their true nature, whether they are angels, extraterrestrials, or something else entirely, remains unresolved, leaving the door open for continued speculation, intrigue, and exploration. The question remains, if these beings are indeed visiting Earth, why have we been left in the dark for so long, and what do they truly want from humanity? The debate surrounding the origin of the Nordic visitors, whether they are extraterrestrial beings from distant planets or celestial messengers with divine purposes, has been a subject of intense discussion among UFO researchers, spiritualists, and skeptics alike. The questions posed by these encounters challenge the very nature of our understanding of the universe, and the answers offered vary widely, drawing on both scientific speculation and spiritual interpretations. To better understand these visitors, we must examine the two predominant theories that have emerged. The extraterrestrial theory, which posits that the Nordic visitors come from faraway star systems, and the spiritual or angelic theory, which suggests that they are divine beings with higher consciousness, perhaps even interdimensional in nature. The extraterrestrial theory has gained considerable traction, particularly in the UFO community. According to this perspective, the Nordic visitors are believed to hail from a specific region of space, the Pleiades star cluster, located about 440 light-years from Earth. This theory finds its roots in early UFO contactee reports, most notably those of George Adamski, who claimed to have communicated with tall, blonde extraterrestrials from the Pleiades. Adamski's descriptions of these beings, including their peaceful demeanor and advanced technological knowledge, were similar to the accounts of other contactees who spoke of encounters with tall, fair-haired beings that emitted a soft, radiant light. According to proponents of this theory, these beings may have visited Earth for thousands of years, subtly guiding humanity's development while remaining hidden from the broader public eye. One of the primary arguments for the extraterrestrial theory is the consistency of the descriptions provided by various independent witnesses. These reports often align with the idea that the Nordic visitors come from distant star systems, not just the Pleiades, but other regions of the galaxy as well. Witnesses commonly describe the beings as having tall, human-like features, with pale skin, blonde hair, and blue or green eyes. They are typically portrayed as peaceful, enlightened, and possessing a deep understanding of human civilization and its potential future. The technology they are said to possess, particularly their spacecraft, which are often described as sleek, luminous, and capable of performing incredible maneuvers, suggests a level of advancement far beyond our current capabilities. In this sense, the Nordic visitors are often viewed as both benevolent guides and advanced beings who may be attempting to help humanity avoid catastrophic mistakes, such as nuclear warfare or environmental destruction. On the other hand, there is a compelling alternative theory that frames the Nordic visitors not as extraterrestrial beings, but as spiritual or angelic entities, beings of light with a higher purpose. This theory draws on ancient religious and mystical traditions, which often describe divine beings descending from the heavens to interact with humanity. Throughout history, Various cultures have reported encounters with angelic figures, gods, or light beings that embody wisdom, compassion, and divine guidance. The Nordic visitors in this context are seen as part of this long-standing tradition, presenting themselves not as extraterrestrials, but as messengers sent from a higher realm to offer guidance and spiritual enlightenment to humankind. One key element of the spiritual theory is the emphasis on the peaceful, calming nature of the Nordic visitors. Many eyewitnesses have reported that their encounters with these beings left them with a deep sense of inner peace and a heightened sense of spiritual awareness. These visitors are not described as threatening or mysterious in the way other extraterrestrial beings are often portrayed, but instead as calm, loving entities who radiate warmth and compassion. In some cases, individuals claim to have received telepathic messages or profound insights during their encounters. Insights that often revolve around themes of unity, love, and the urgent need for humanity to embrace peace and environmental stewardship. These messages resonate with the ideas of spiritual awakening and cosmic consciousness found in many religious and New Age teachings, where advanced beings from higher dimensions are believed to guide humanity toward its next stage of evolution. The angelic theory also draws on the idea that the Nordic visitors are not just visitors from another planet, but interdimensional beings who exist outside the limitations of space and time. According to this view, these beings could be manifestations of higher consciousness or divine energy that transcend physical reality. They may not come from a distant star system, but rather from a higher vibrational frequency or parallel dimension, making their existence beyond our conventional understanding of reality. This perspective aligns with certain esoteric beliefs, which suggest that we are not alone in the universe in the way we typically think. Instead, there may be multiple realms of existence, inhabited by beings who can move freely between dimensions, appearing to us as needed to guide or protect us. A significant aspect of the spiritual or angelic theory is the deep connection that witnesses often feel with the Nordic visitors, which is often described in terms of divine purpose. Many who encounter these beings report feelings of being chosen, of being part of something much larger than themselves. The messages conveyed by the Nordic visitors, which frequently revolve around themes of global peace, unity, and environmental preservation, reflect the kind of moral and spiritual guidance associated with religious figures or angels. These visitors are not seen as detached scientific observers, but as active participants in the spiritual awakening of humanity, encouraging individuals to connect with their higher selves and the collective good. Despite the compelling nature of both theories, there is little concrete evidence to definitively confirm either interpretation. The lack of physical evidence, such as spacecraft remains or direct contact with the beings, leaves the question of their origin open to speculation. Skeptics argue that the similarities in eyewitness accounts could be explained by psychological factors, such as the power of suggestion, cultural influences, or even sleep-related phenomena like lucid dreaming or sleep paralysis. They point out that humans have long projected their hopes, fears, and desires onto mysterious figures from the sky, whether those figures were gods, angels, or aliens. Nevertheless, the enduring consistency of the descriptions and the profound impact these encounters have on witnesses suggests that there may be something more to the phenomenon than simple imagination. The idea that the Nordic visitors are either extraterrestrial beings or divine messengers is a matter of personal belief, shaped by one's perspective on science, spirituality, and the nature of reality. The truth may lie somewhere between these two extremes, with the Nordic visitors embodying both extraterrestrial and spiritual aspects. As we continue to seek answers, one thing remains clear. The mystery of the Nordic visitors challenges our understanding of the universe and our place within it, offering both a scientific puzzle and a spiritual journey for those who are open to the possibility. The phenomenon of the Nordic visitors continues to intrigue not only UFO enthusiasts and researchers, but also psychologists and scholars interested in the nature of human consciousness and perception. One of the most fascinating aspects of these encounters is the psychological and paranormal dimensions that often accompany them. Eyewitnesses frequently describe experiences that seem to blur the lines between physical reality and altered states of consciousness, leading many to question whether these encounters are purely objective phenomena or if they also reflect deeper, subconscious processes within the mind of the experiencer. A key concept that helps explain the nature of these encounters is the idea of the mind's eye, or the perception of non-physical realities. Some researchers argue that sightings of the Nordic visitors may be a manifestation of the human subconscious, influenced by both cultural archetypes and personal psychological states. This theory suggests that individuals who encounter these beings may not be seeing objective, external entities at all, but rather projecting an image based on their own deep-seated beliefs, fears, and desires. The Nordic visitors, in this sense, could be seen as projections of the human mind, a symbolic representation of the yearning for higher guidance, wisdom, and spiritual enlightenment. The concept of the mind's eye can be understood through the lens of Carl Jung's theory of archetypes. According to Jung, there are universal symbols and patterns embedded within the collective unconscious of all human beings. These archetypes, such as the wise old man, the hero, and the celestial being, emerge across cultures and time periods as expressions of humanity's shared experiences and psychological needs. In the case of the Nordic visitors, they may represent an archetypal figure of the wise teacher or spiritual guide. This archetype could surface in the minds of those who are open to the possibility of higher beings, whether through UFO sightings, mystical experiences, or dreams. In this view, the Nordic visitors are not necessarily extraterrestrial or divine beings, but are psychological constructs that arise in response to the human quest for meaning, guidance, and connection to something greater than the self. This perspective is further supported by the fact that many of the encounters with the Nordic visitors occur during altered states of consciousness. Witnesses often report experiencing these encounters during moments of deep emotional or psychological sensitivity, such as during sleep, meditation, or moments of personal crisis. These altered states are known to heighten perception and can make individuals more susceptible to vivid, sometimes surreal experiences. In fact, some of the reports of encountering the Nordic visitors share striking similarities with experiences of lucid dreaming or sleep paralysis, where individuals are awake but unable to move, yet report seeing vivid and lifelike images of otherworldly beings. These experiences can feel incredibly real to the person experiencing them, but they may also be a product of the brain's ability to generate highly detailed, emotionally charged images during altered states. Another psychological phenomenon that may explain these encounters is the concept of collective consciousness, the idea that certain experiences, beliefs, and symbols are shared among large groups of people across cultures. In the case of the Nordic visitors, it's possible that the growing body of media reports, UFO documentaries, and popular culture representations has created a sort of cultural template that individuals subconsciously adopt when they have their own UFO encounters. This template could explain the consistency in descriptions of the Nordic visitors: tall, blonde, radiant beings with peaceful, spiritual messages. As more people become exposed to these representations, their subconscious minds may adopt these symbols, which then manifest during their own encounters. This is known as cultural contamination, where societal narratives shape individual perceptions, sometimes creating experiences that feel real but are deeply influenced by external sources. From a more paranormal perspective, some researchers suggest that these encounters with the Nordic visitors might not be purely psychological, but could involve some form of non-physical reality. This perspective posits that the beings are not figments of the mind, but rather interdimensional entities that exist in a realm just beyond our physical senses. According to this theory, the experiences reported by witnesses may be a form of contact with a higher dimension or a parallel universe, one that humans are not usually able to access, but which can occasionally intersect with our own reality during certain conditions. This could explain why the encounters often feel so vivid and real, even though no physical evidence is left behind. The beings, in this case, may not be bound by the physical constraints of space and time as we understand them, and their presence may only be perceivable under specific circumstances. There are also instances where witnesses describe feelings of synchronicity or an inexplicable sense of deep connection to the beings they encounter. Some claim that their meetings with the Nordic visitors felt like a preordained or destined event, as if the beings had chosen them for a specific purpose. This feeling of being chosen or singled out for an extraordinary experience is common in many spiritual or mystical traditions, where individuals feel a sense of connection to something divine or higher than themselves. The psychological significance of such an experience can be profound, leading individuals to re-evaluate their lives, their purpose, and their understanding of the universe. These encounters often prompt a spiritual awakening, pushing the person to explore deeper questions about consciousness, existence, and the nature of reality. The psychological and paranormal angles surrounding the Nordic visitors also raise questions about the limits of human perception and the mind's ability to create and interpret reality. If these encounters are products of the mind, are they less significant or real than physical encounters with beings from another planet? Or is there a deeper truth to these experiences, one that speaks to the power of the mind to perceive realities beyond the ordinary? Whether the Nordic visitors are psychological projections, interdimensional beings, or extraterrestrial visitors, their impact on those who encounter them is undeniable. These experiences challenge our understanding of what is real and invite us to reconsider the boundaries of consciousness, perception, and the mysteries of the unknown. As we move into modern investigations and the growing body of research surrounding UFO phenomena, it becomes clear that the mystery of the Nordic visitors is far from being resolved. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in UFO sightings, particularly with the declassification of government documents and the mainstream media's increased attention to the phenomenon. This renewed focus has brought with it new theories, investigations, and personal testimonies that continue to fuel the debate over the nature of the Nordic visitors. While there is no conclusive evidence that definitively answers the question of their existence or origin, the modern landscape of UFO research offers valuable insight into how the mystery of these beings is evolving. One of the most significant developments in recent years has been the Pentagon's acknowledgement of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP. In 2020, the U.S. Department of Defense officially established the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force to investigate reports of unexplained aerial objects and phenomena. This move, along with the release of several declassified videos showing military pilots encountering unidentified flying objects, has sparked renewed interest in the broader UFO phenomenon. While these reports do not directly address the Nordic visitors, the attention to UFOs in the mainstream media and the government's newfound openness has led to an increase in public sightings and testimonies. The Pentagon's reports on UAPs primarily focus on physical sightings of unidentified objects, often described as advanced craft performing maneuvers that defy current technological understanding. However, there is a notable difference between these UAPs and the humanoid encounters that characterize reports of the Nordic visitors. The beings associated with UAP sightings are typically not described in the same detail as the Nordic visitors, tall, blonde, and radiating light. Yet the broader phenomenon of UFO sightings seems to be gaining credibility in the eyes of the public and government alike. Some UFO researchers have pointed out that the official acknowledgement of UAPs could eventually pave the way for a broader exploration of the phenomenon, one that may include the more spiritual or extraterrestrial aspects of encounters with beings like the Nordics. Alongside government investigations, a new wave of independent researchers, journalists, and UFO enthusiasts has emerged, taking the investigation of the Nordic visitors into uncharted territories. These modern investigators are employing advanced technologies such as infrared cameras, electromagnetic field detectors, and even AI-based analysis to gather data from reported UFO sightings and encounters. While the focus of many of these investigations has been on identifying physical evidence, such as trace marks, radiation, or unusual atmospheric disturbances, there is also a growing interest in understanding the psychological, cultural, and spiritual aspects of UFO encounters. The rise of social media and online forums has provided a platform for people to share their personal experiences with the Nordic visitors and other UFO-related phenomena, creating a global community of individuals who seek to unravel the mystery together. A key development in the investigation of the Nordic visitors has been the increase in reports of encounters through more unconventional means. Many witnesses now claim to have had experiences not just through physical sightings of UFOs, but through dreams, visions, or even meditative states. These reports, which are often described as deeply spiritual or transformative, suggest that the Nordic visitors may not always appear in traditional, physical ways. Some researchers have begun to explore the idea that these encounters are taking place in altered states of consciousness, in which the boundaries between the physical and non-physical worlds are less defined. This theory aligns with the idea of interdimensional beings, entities that can move freely between dimensions, appearing in our world when the conditions are right. In addition to these personal testimonies, there has been an increasing exploration of the role of technology in shaping modern encounters. The advent of virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR, has provided new ways for people to simulate and interpret their UFO experiences. While VR technology has not yet been used extensively in UFO research, it holds potential as a tool for creating immersive simulations of UFO encounters, allowing witnesses to explore and analyze their experiences in greater detail. Some researchers are even exploring the use of brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, to study how individuals process and interpret alien encounters, particularly those involving light beings like the Nordic visitors. By understanding the neural and psychological mechanisms behind these experiences, investigators hope to gain a deeper insight into the nature of the phenomenon. At the same time, the rise of alternative media, including podcasts, YouTube channels, and independent documentaries, has helped to broaden the conversation surrounding the Nordic visitors and UFO encounters in general. These platforms allow for the sharing of first-hand experiences, as well as interviews with experts, scientists, and investigators who are exploring the unexplained. Through these channels, the public is gaining greater access to information that might otherwise have been dismissed or ignored by mainstream outlets. Some researchers have even begun to advocate for the integration of UFO studies into academic disciplines, arguing that the phenomenon is too significant to remain relegated to the fringes of science. While the academic community remains cautious, the growing acceptance of UFO research as a legitimate field of inquiry is paving the way for new investigations and more serious discourse on the subject. Despite these advancements in UFO research and the increasing interest in encounters with the Nordic visitors, there remains a significant amount of skepticism and resistance, particularly from mainstream scientific communities. Many scientists argue that the lack of concrete, physical evidence makes it difficult to draw any definitive conclusions about the existence of extraterrestrial or interdimensional beings. Furthermore, the psychological and cultural factors that contribute to UFO sightings cannot be overlooked. Skeptics point out that the human mind is highly suggestible, and that societal influences, such as media portrayals, personal beliefs, and even group dynamics, can play a significant role in shaping how people perceive UFO encounters. Some argue that reports of the Nordic visitors are simply a modern manifestation of ancient myths and archetypes, reshaped by contemporary culture. Yet, despite these challenges, the mystery of the Nordic visitors continues to captivate and inspire those who seek answers. Whether through government investigations, independent research, or personal experiences, the search for truth remains ongoing. The growing body of evidence, both physical and psychological, suggests that we may be on the brink of a new understanding of the phenomenon. The question remains, are the Nordic visitors truly extraterrestrial beings, interdimensional entities, or simply projections of the human psyche? Only time and further investigation will reveal the answers. As we reach the final stages of understanding the mystery of the Nordic visitors, it's essential to reflect on the broader implications that these encounters may have on our perception of reality, consciousness, and humanity's place in the universe. The consistent descriptions of these beings, tall, blonde, radiant, and often bearing messages of peace, love, and spiritual enlightenment, offer more than just a glimpse into a potential extraterrestrial or interdimensional reality. They provide a window into the deeper questions that have preoccupied human thought for millennia. What is the nature of consciousness? Are we alone in the universe? And what might it mean for humanity to be visited by advanced beings, whether they are extraterrestrial, spiritual, or something else entirely? The enduring popularity of the Nordic visitor phenomenon suggests that these encounters resonate deeply with the collective psyche. People across the globe, from various walks of life and diverse cultural backgrounds, continue to report similar experiences, often in profound and transformative ways. The idea that we are not alone in the universe, that intelligent life exists beyond our planet and may be watching over us, is both awe-inspiring and humbling. For many witnesses, encounters with the Nordic visitors are not just physical events, but deeply spiritual experiences that force them to confront their understanding of existence and their place in the cosmos. These experiences often prompt individuals to rethink their beliefs about God, spirituality, and the interconnectedness of all life forms. In this sense, the Nordic visitors could be seen as modern-day manifestations of ancient archetypes, divine beings who have appeared throughout history in various forms, offering wisdom and guidance to humanity. From the gods of ancient Greece to the angelic figures of religious texts, the imagery of beings descending from the heavens to offer help and enlightenment is a timeless motif. The Nordic visitors, with their messages of peace and unity, echo these ancient traditions, but they also add a new layer to the narrative, one that speaks to contemporary concerns about the environment, the future of humanity, and the possibility of a greater cosmic purpose. The psychological impact of these encounters cannot be overstated. Many individuals who have reported seeing the Nordic visitors describe experiencing profound shifts in their worldview. They often speak of a newfound sense of connection to the universe, a deeper understanding of their own consciousness, and a heightened sense of empathy and compassion for others. Some even report feeling as though they have been chosen to receive a special message or mission. These experiences can lead to a spiritual awakening, prompting individuals to explore new paths of personal growth, meditation, and self-discovery. In this way, the Nordic visitors serve not only as figures of mystery, but as catalysts for personal transformation. At the same time, the mystery surrounding these encounters invites us to question the very nature of reality. Are the Nordic visitors manifestations of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization? Or are they interdimensional beings that transcend the physical world? Could they be reflections of a deeper, spiritual truth that we are only beginning to understand? The answers to these questions remain elusive, but the search for them encourages us to expand our thinking beyond the limitations of conventional science and into realms of possibility that we have yet to fully comprehend. In examining the broader cultural implications of the Nordic visitors, we can see how their appearances reflect a collective desire for guidance and hope in uncertain times. In an age of rapid technological advancement, environmental degradation, and political instability, the idea of being visited by benevolent, advanced beings offers a sense of reassurance. The messages attributed to the Nordic visitors often focus on themes of peace, environmental stewardship, and the potential for humanity to evolve spiritually. These themes resonate with many individuals who feel that the world is at a crossroads and that a shift in consciousness is needed to avert global crises. The Nordic visitors, in this context, symbolize the hope that humanity can evolve beyond its current state of division and conflict, and that there is a higher intelligence guiding us toward a more harmonious future. Yet, there is also a sense of caution that accompanies these encounters. The fact that the Nordic visitors are often described as warning humanity about the dangers of nuclear warfare and environmental destruction suggests that they are not simply passive observers, but active participants in the fate of our world. Some have speculated that these beings may be trying to help humanity avoid a self-destructive path. The recurring emphasis on the need for peace and unity in the messages of the Nordic visitors underscores the urgent nature of these warnings, suggesting that humanity's future may depend on its ability to transcend its current state of conflict and division. As we reflect on the mystery of the Nordic visitors, it is clear that their presence, whether real or imagined, holds profound significance. These encounters invite us to reconsider the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual, the known and the unknown, and to challenge our assumptions about the nature of consciousness, reality, and the universe itself. The Nordic visitors, in all their luminous, enigmatic glory, represent a bridge between worlds. Whether those worlds are distant star systems, parallel dimensions, or higher states of being, their messages resonate not just on a personal level, but on a collective one, offering guidance and hope to humanity as it navigates the complexities of modern life. In the end, the mystery of the Nordic visitors serves as a reminder that there is much we still do not understand about the nature of reality, the universe, and our place within it. Whether they are extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, or spiritual messengers, their presence calls us to open our minds and hearts to new possibilities. The search for truth continues, and as we explore the unknown, we are reminded that the mysteries of the cosmos may hold the answers to some of humanity's oldest and most profound questions. As the mystery of the Nordic visitors persists, it is important to consider the larger cultural and societal impact these encounters have had over the decades. The ongoing fascination with these beings speaks to a deeper collective yearning for something beyond the everyday. Across cultures, there is a shared archetypal vision of benevolent, higher beings who come to guide humanity in times of crisis or uncertainty. Whether rooted in religious traditions or contemporary UFO lore, these figures offer a source of comfort and hope, suggesting that we are not alone and that there may be greater forces at play, watching over us. The Nordic visitors, in particular, have become symbols of a higher, more enlightened path for humanity. Their calm demeanor, their peaceful messages, and their supposed warning of humanity's potential downfall resonate with people who feel disillusioned by the modern world struggles. The idea that these beings could offer us guidance on how to overcome the environmental, political, and social challenges of our time is an alluring one. It's easy to see how the Nordic visitors fit into this narrative, serving as messengers of hope and catalysts for change. Additionally, the stories of encounters with these beings have contributed to a growing movement within popular culture that seeks to reconcile science and spirituality. While traditional science often dismisses the idea of extraterrestrial or spiritual beings, the persistent nature of these encounters challenges the scientific community to expand its understanding of reality. The blending of extraterrestrial and spiritual elements in the story of the Nordic visitors exemplifies a shift in how we view the universe. More people are beginning to entertain the idea that both physical and non-physical realms may be interconnected, and that our current understanding of reality might be far too limited. In modern times, these encounters also highlight humanity's ongoing quest for meaning in an increasingly uncertain world. The Nordic visitors, whether real or symbolic, provide a framework for individuals to explore their own spiritual growth and understanding of the universe. For those who encounter them, these beings often act as guides, not only in the physical sense, but also in the metaphysical sense, leading people to explore deeper questions about consciousness, existence, and the nature of human potential. The mystery of the Nordic visitors, though unresolved, continues to captivate those who seek answers to the deeper questions of existence. Whether seen as extraterrestrial beings, interdimensional entities, or spiritual messengers, their presence invites us to explore the boundaries of human consciousness, reality, and the universe itself. These encounters have sparked profound transformations in many who experience them, prompting shifts in worldview, spiritual awakening, and a renewed sense of connection to something greater. The stories of the Nordic visitors are not just tales of otherworldly beings. They are reflections of humanity's ongoing search for meaning, understanding, and hope in a world increasingly defined by conflict and uncertainty. Their messages of peace, unity, and environmental stewardship resonate deeply with those who feel the weight of global challenges. As the search for truth continues, we are reminded that some mysteries may never be fully explained. Yet, it is through this quest, whether through scientific investigation, spiritual exploration, or personal experience, that we are invited to broaden our perspective and deepen our understanding of the unknown. The Nordic visitors, in their luminous enigma, continue to hold a mirror to humanity, urging us to reach for something higher, whether in the stars or within ourselves.